400 hours. Andersen Air Force Base, Guam. A heavy stillness hangs over the jungle perimeter. The humidity presses down on the tarmac where massive bombers sit cold and dark. Palm trees sway gently in a slight breeze coming off the Philippine Sea. The only sound is the hum of electrical generators and the chirping of crickets in the tall grass. A security truck idles near the main gate, its headlights cutting through the mist. The world is asleep. Deep underground, the silence breaks. A console in the Integrated Air Defense Center chirps once. The radar operator leans forward. A jagged red line spikes on the green display. It is not an error. A second line appears, then a third. The trajectory is ballistic. The speed is hypersonic. The operator slams the master alarm switch. The klaxon screams across the facility, a terrifying mechanical shriek that tears through the tropical night. Vampire! Vampire! Incoming ballistic threats! The cry echoes through the concrete corridors. The base erupts into chaos. Sleeping pilots are thrown from their bunks by the sheer volume of the noise. They scramble into flight suits, zippers tearing, boots stomping on the floor. Men and women sprint down hallways, colliding with each other as they rush to battle stations. Red emergency lights strobe against the walls, casting frantic shadows. Outside, the air defense batteries spring to life. Massive hydraulic pistons hiss and groan as the boxy Patriot launchers pivot toward the west. The steel platforms shudder as they lock into firing positions. Crews sprint across the concrete aprons, shouting over the wail of the sirens. They dive into hardened bunkers and seal the blast doors. The heavy steel locks spin shut with a deafening clang. The radar arrays spin rapidly, searching the horizon. They emit high-frequency pulses that slice through the atmosphere. The data floods back to the command center. The screens fill with a swarm of hostile contacts. The enemy has launched a saturation strike. Inside the fire control station, the tactical officer stares at the terrifying geometry on his screen. The red dots are closing fast. He grips the radio handset until his knuckles turn white. Auto-engage enabled. Master arm on. Batteries Alpha and Bravo take the lead. He flips the safety covers off the firing keys. On the launch pad, the first canister blows its cover. A sudden rush of pressurized gas vents from the tube. The missile ignites. A blinding column of fire erupts from the tail, turning the dark night into a blinding white noon. The ground shakes violently. The interceptor screams off the rail, tearing a hole in the sky as it races to meet the incoming death. 4:02 hours, Air Defense Battery Alpha, Northern Perimeter. Thick white smoke from the initial launch drifts low over the concrete pads. The sharp smell of burning sulfur chokes the humid air. Inside the command van, the floor plates vibrate with a low, menacing hum. The radar screens wash the crew's faces in a sickly green glow. The digital countdown hits 0. The entire battery erupts. 3 more canisters blow open simultaneously. The ignition roar hits the bunker like a physical hammer blow. It crushes the silence. Flames scorch the blast deflectors, peeling paint and cracking the concrete. The missiles leap from their rails, riding pillars of fire into the clouds. They accelerate past the speed of sound in seconds. A sonic boom cracks over the island, shattering windows in the nearby support buildings. The tactical control officer shouts over the roar. He slams his hand on the console. Ripple fire confirmed. Birds away. Reload crews, stand by. He watches the telemetry lines streak upward. Outside, the jungle burns. The exhaust plume has ignited the tall grass at the edge of the clearing. Fire spreads rapidly, licking at the chain-link fence. The ground is scorched black. Debris from the canister covers rains down on the metal roof of the generator shack. The noise is deafening, a continuous thunder that rolls across the ocean to the cliffs. High above, the interceptors shed their booster stages. The spent rocket motors tumble back toward the Earth. They fall like heavy stones, whistling as they drop. One crashes into the jungle canopy, snapping thick branches and thudding into the soft mud. The warheads continue upward, seeking the heat of the incoming enemy. 0404 hours. The exosphere, 80 miles above the Pacific Ocean. The curve of the Earth glows faintly blue against the void of space. The enemy warheads drift through the silence. They are massive conical shapes of heat-shielded steel, spinning slowly in the vacuum. They descend toward the island. The defense interceptors arrive. The kinetic kill vehicles adjust their side thrusters with microscopic bursts of gas. They align perfectly. Then they strike. The collision is absolute. The interceptor slams into the lead warhead at hypersonic speed. The impact energy is greater than a freight train hitting a concrete wall. The warhead does not explode, it disintegrates. The steel casing vaporizes instantly. A silent, blinding flash of white light blooms in the emptiness. It is brighter than the sun. Seconds later, 3 more flashes rip through the dark. The sky above Guam becomes a strobe light. Down on the surface, the air is thick with tension. Soldiers in foxholes look up. They see the artificial stars born from the violence above. The light is eerie, washing over the jungle in ghostly pulses. Then comes the rain. The shattered debris hits the upper atmosphere. Friction ignites the metal. The sky fills with streaking fireballs. Burning chunks of titanium and guidance computers roar down. They tear through the clouds, leaving twisting trails of gray smoke. A massive section of a booster stage crashes into the Philippine Sea. The impact sends a wall of water rising into the air. The ocean churns. Steam hisses violently as the red-hot metal quenches in the salt water. Another piece, a jagged shard of hull plating, slams into the beach near the runway. It buries itself deep in the sand, glowing cherry red, radiating intense heat. Inside the Integrated Air Defense Center, the cheering is short-lived. The radar operator freezes. His eyes lock on the screen. The clutter of falling debris confuses the sensors for a microsecond. Then the computer filters the noise. "Leaker!" he screams. "We have a leaker! One target is through the net!" The red dot on the screen is not debris. It is a live warhead. It corrects its course. It dives. The velocity reads Mach 6. It is too close for the high-altitude batteries. It is inside the bubble. Impact in 10 seconds. The officer slams the scramble button. "Brace! Brace! Brace!" 4:05 hours. Fuel storage area north ramp. The massive cylindrical tanks stand like white sentinels in the gloom. The air vibrates. The sound of the incoming warhead is not a whistle. It is a tearing shriek that splits the eardrums. A security guard near the gate looks up. The sky above him blurs. The missile strikes. It slams into the center of tank number 4. The impact force punches through the heavy steel dome like a needle through paper. The warhead detonates deep inside the liquid. The explosion is absolute. A sphere of orange fire expands outward, vaporizing the metal structure instantly. 2 million gallons of jet fuel ignite in a millisecond. The blast wave shears the piping connecting the adjacent tanks. Valves rupture. Burning fuel sprays across the concrete apron in a deadly high-pressure fan. The fireball rises. It climbs thousands of feet into the air, rolling and churning, turning the night sky a bruised purple and orange. The heat pulse is immediate. It scorches the paint off nearby vehicles. It withers the palm trees along the perimeter fence, turning green fronds into black ash in seconds. The shockwave rips outward. It travels across the tarmac at the speed of sound. It hits the nearby hangars. The corrugated metal walls buckle inward. Windows in the maintenance buildings explode, spraying shards of glass into the workspaces. On the flight line, a parked transport aircraft rocks violently on its landing gear. The pressure wave slams into the fuselage. A mechanic working on the wing loses his footing. He falls 10 feet to the hardstand, landing heavily. He rolls, clutching his leg. The fire alarm system in the storage area melts. The sirens die, replaced by the roaring sound of the inferno. Thick, oily black smoke begins to pour from the crater, blotting out the stars. It rolls over the runway like a solid wall. 4:10 hours, emergency response station, Andersen Air Force Base. The blast doors rise. The station floor is covered in shattered glass from the office windows. The air is thick with the chemical stench of burning jet fuel. Ash falls from the sky like heavy gray snow, coating the windshields of the waiting vehicles. The crash tenders roar to life. Their massive diesel engines scream as drivers floor the accelerators. The heavy trucks lurch forward, tires squealing on the concrete. They speed down the taxiway, heading straight into the wall of black smoke. At the fuel farm, the heat is a physical barrier. It pushes against the windshields. The paint on the lead truck begins to blister and peel instantly. The crew chief kicks his door open. He leaps onto the tarmac. The heat slams into him. He signals the nozzle operator. "Hit it, full pressure!" he yells over the roar of the fire. The roof turret on the truck spins. A stream of white fire-retardant foam blasts out. It arcs through the gloom and hammers the base of the burning tank. The foam hits the boiling fuel with a hiss that sounds like a jet engine. Steam explodes upward, mixing with the smoke. The fire fights back, swirling and lunging as oxygen is sucked into the vortex. On the flight line, the situation is critical. The shockwave has scattered debris across the active runway. Metal shards, broken glass, and burning insulation litter the tarmac. This is foreign object debris. It kills jet engines. A bulldozer rumbles out of a hardened shelter. The operator lowers the massive steel blade. He drives forward, scraping the tarmac. Sparks fly as the blade grinds against the concrete, pushing a pile of twisted metal off to the side. Inside the shattered control tower, the air traffic controllers are on their knees. They cough in the acrid smoke. One officer wraps a shirt around his fins. He grabs a handheld radio. The main consoles are dead. "All aircraft hold position," he shouts into the mic. Runway is fouled. Visibility is 0. I repeat, visibility is 0. The wind shifts. The column of black smoke collapses onto the runway. The airfield disappears. 4:15 hours. Coastal Defense Battery, Taragu Beach. The heavy black smoke from the fuel fire drifts north, rolling over the white sand and out to sea. It mixes with the salt spray, creating a thick, stinging fog. The waves crash rhythmically against the reef. Standing on elevated concrete platforms, the automated rotary cannons point toward the dark horizon. Their white domes gleam faintly in the moonlight. The search radar atop the center gun spins frantically. It filters through the smoke and the sea spray. It hunts for movement. A low, throbbing hum rises from the ocean. It grows louder. It is the sound of turbofan engines running at maximum power. The threat appears. 10 feet above the waves, gray shapes streak out of the gloom. They are cruise missiles, hugging the curvature of the Earth to evade the long-range radar. They move at 600 miles per hour. The defense system reacts instantly. The electric motors on the rotary cannons whine. The 6-barreled guns snap level with the horizon. The barrels begin to spin. They blur into a solid disc of steel. The guns fire. A terrifying mechanical roar rips the air, a continuous vibrating BURT that sounds like canvas tearing. Tongues of yellow flame spit 6 feet from the muzzles. A solid stream of tungsten rounds cuts through the darkness. The tracers look like a continuous laser beam of orange light. The rounds tear into the lead cruise missile. The impact shreds the aluminum skin. The guidance system shatters. The missile pitches down violently. It catches the top of a wave. The crash is brutal. The missile cartwheels across the surface of the water, shedding wings and tail fins. It explodes in a plume of white water and steam, detonating harmlessly 300 yards offshore. The guns swivel, they do not stop. The spent brass casings pour out of the ejection chutes like a golden waterfall, piling up on the concrete deck. The smell of burnt gunpowder overpowers the smell of the sea. A second missile weaves. It banks left, then right, trying to dodge the stream of lead. The rotary cannon tracks it. The stream of fire adjusts. The rounds walk into the fuselage. The missile disintegrates in mid-air. A fireball erupts, illuminating the beach in a harsh yellow flash. Burning fuel rains down into the surf. But there are too many. The third missile stays low. It slips under the cone of fire. It screams over the beach, passing just feet above the palm trees. The wake from its engine strips the leaves from the branches. It races inland toward the airfield. 4:18 hours, the flight line Andersen Air Force Base. The rogue cruise missile shrieks over the maintenance hangars. Its turbofan engine whines at redline. The heat from its exhaust scorches the asphalt roof of the operations building. It banks hard, targeting the tall concrete spire of the control tower. The impact is violent. The missile's wing clips the steel support strut of the tower's catwalk. The airframe tumbles instantly. The warhead detonates against the reinforced concrete pillar just 10 feet below the main cab. The explosion rips the northeast corner of the tower apart. Concrete turns to dust. Steel rebar twists like wet rope. The blast wave punches upward, blowing out the thick, slanted glass of the observation deck in a single deafening crash. Inside, the world turns sideways. Controllers are hurled from their chairs. Monitors tear free from their mounts and smash against the walls. The ceiling panels collapse, burying the room in a tangle of wires and acoustic tiles. One controller slams into the back wall, sliding down into a pile of broken glass. He coughs, spitting out drywall dust. Smoke fills the small space instantly. Outside, the debris rains down. Huge chunks of concrete crash onto the tarmac below, cratering the pavement. A heavy radar antenna falls from the roof, smashing into the hood of a parked security truck. The metal crumples. Deep underground, in the alternate command post, the main screens flicker and die. The feed is lost. The room is dim, lit only by blue emergency LEDs. The senior officer grabs the handset. He slams his fist on the desk. "Tower is down," he yells into the mic. "Assume control, switch to backup frequency alpha, clear the runway immediately. 4:30 hours. Taxiway Bravo, south end." The black smoke from the fuel fire still drifts across the airfield, reducing visibility to a gray haze. Ground crews in protective vests wave illuminated wands frantically. They guide the massive machines through the gloom. The engines of the stealth fighters whine, a high-pitched scream that vibrates in the chest. The lead jet, a sleek gray wedge of composite metal, lurches forward. Its exhaust nozzles flex. Heat shimmer distorts the air behind it. The pilot pushes the throttle. The jet taxis fast, weaving around the fresh craters and piles of concrete debris left by the cruise missile strike. The tires roll over shattered glass, crunching loudly. At the end of the runway, the jet turns. The pilot does not wait for clearance from the ruined tower. He slams the throttle forward to full afterburner. Two cones of blue fire erupt from the rear of the jet. The machine shudders against the brakes, then releases. It shoots down the runway. It accelerates violently. The pilot is pressed back into his seat. The G-force hits him. The jet races past the burning fuel depot. The orange glow reflects off the canopy. At 180 miles per hour, the nose wheel lifts. The main gear leaves the ground. The jet claws into the air, banking hard to the west. The landing gear retracts with a heavy thud. Behind it, a second jet follows. It roars down the tarmac, kicking up a cloud of ash and dust. It lifts off, chasing the leader. They climb steeply, piercing the smoke layer and breaking out into the clear, starlit sky above. They turn their noses toward the launch coordinates. The hunt begins. 500 hours, Andersen Air Force Base. The sun breaches the eastern horizon. It does not look like a normal sunrise. The light filters through the lingering smoke, casting a sickly copper-colored glow across the island. The heavy black column from the fuel depot has thinned to a gray smudge, drifting slowly south. The air is still hot, smelling of wet ash and burnt rubber. The base is a landscape of scars. On the north ramp, the skeleton of the fuel tank stands twisted and blackened, looking like a crushed soda can. Fire crews spray water onto the steaming metal, cooling the wreckage. The water runs black across the concrete, pooling in the cracks. On the main runway, the recovery work is violent and fast. Heavy loaders roar. Their steel buckets scrape against the asphalt, sparking as they push piles of concrete debris to the grass verges. A massive crater near the midpoint is already being filled. A dump truck backs up, its reverse alarm beeping monotonously. It dumps a load of quick-set gravel into the hole. A steamroller waits, engine idling, ready to flatten the repair. Near the ruined control tower, medics move quickly. They lift a yellow stretcher. A wounded controller lies strapped down, his flight suit stained with dust and blood. They slide him into the back of an idling ambulance. The doors slam shut. The vehicle speeds away toward the Naval Hospital. Lights flashing in the dawn gloom. A senior engineer stands on a pile of rubble. He holds a radio. He points to the cleared section of the runway. "Strip is active," he shouts. 2,000 yards available. Clear the trucks. The heavy machinery backs away. The runway is short but usable. High overhead, a sound returns. It is the low rumble of returning aircraft. The two stealth fighters bank over the ocean. They are low on fuel. They drop their landing gear. The wheels lock into place. The lead jet touches down on the cleared patch of asphalt. Tires smoke as they grip the surface. The pilot brakes hard, slowing the machine just yards from the end of the pavement. The base is battered. Smoke rises from 3 distinct craters. Glass crunches under boots in every building, but the radar dishes on the perimeter are spinning. The missile batteries are reloading. The defenders remain.